Welcome to another edition of Strange New Pod. I am your Fleet Admiral and host, Julian Brown, alongside the best bridge crew this side of Bajor. We have Vice Admiral Eric, who's looking for Chief O'Brien in all the wrong places.
I think they're the right places.
I mean, they might be. You tell me.
No one knows.
No one really knows. Keiko might know.
He's a giant statue now. We all know it.
He is. He is nice and gold. Commander Hawk is here, hoping to have a better night at the Dabo tables than he did the night before. And we have Captain Giraffe, who is waiting for Bajoran security to drop the ball once again so she could steal the Defiance cloaking device.
Listen, that cloaking device was mine to start with, okay? Like
I don't believe you.
Romulus remember.
Romulus does remember. Speaking of Bajoran security, we are honored and thrilled to welcome the voice of Lieutenant Shaxs on Star Trek Lower Decks, the voice of many, many, many other things as well. Fred Tatasciore is here. Welcome to Strange New Pod.
Hello, and Captain Giraffe, we have our eyes on you by the prophets. We know what you're up to.
That's amazing.
We'll let it slide once just because you're cool. But that's it.
I will tell nothing to the Predator, I swear.
Again, I don't believe you. I don't believe you.
It's a secret.
It's a secret.
Great to be here, guys. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it is an absolute honor and privilege to have you here. We have been loving Lower Decks. It's actually one of the first things that we started reviewing on this little pod of ours. So to be able to do this with you and have you on to talk about all things Lower Decks tonight is absolutely amazing.
Awesome.
We have a tradition on our show, and judging by what we were talking about before we went live, you know, your excitement level for tonight's episode of Lower Decks especially,
Yes.
we always ask our guests what their history is with the Star Trek franchise, you know, before being cast to work on the show. Did you watch any of the series before taking on the role of Shaxs?
Oh yeah, I mean this for me goes back to my childhood. The original series. Predates me, but I watched it as a kid from about I would say 6, 7, 8 years old on, and I had all the toys. I had the little, I had a transistor radio that was
Nice.
that was a quarter. I was really into it. I think my mom was really into it. I think that was the thing. And so we would watch it, all the reruns. And I just, I was a fan from then, and then through all the movies and all the different series, and there was like one, I couldn't tell you, oh, this is my favorite series, because each one had its own special magic to it, I think I would have served under Picard, but yeah, you know what I mean. But I love them all, but I love them all. I mean, I really did. I love each captain and each incarnation. I really, really did. And even some of the comic books later on. I just love it. Yeah.
Wow, going deep into the comics. I love it.
It was a really big deal. It was a big deal for me. I didn't know. I mean, I've told the story. So I was such a fan. And I kind of always dreamt to be on something like this. I imagined it would be an on-camera thing. I would always want to be, a Klingon or something, And I've done some work with the films where I was speaking Klingon and Romulan and, doing voices for them for the different movies. But when I didn't expect to be on an animated Star Trek, in fact, when the audition came, I was reading the script and thinking, this is not real. This has got to be a joke. Like, I thought it was a spoof, but the thing was, they were doing canon stuff. Like, so I was like, how are they getting away with this? You know what I mean? Like, how are you allowed to use these names, and not be something that's like making fun of it, And it turned out it was like, no. And Mike McMahon was like, the creator, he was like, I can't believe we get to do this either. It was really interesting. And then watching it, you realize, no, this really is still a serious Star Trek show. It's just funny. And that was the magic of it. So it had the awe and the wonder of the Star Trek and the science fiction, which is what's so great, and the humanity too. I mean, we pushed that envelope a little bit, but we don't pull a lot of punches, actually, I realize, on some of these things. But yeah, so getting this part was just just a dream, literally a dream come true. I'm not kidding. I know that sounds very cliche, but it's not.
Not at all.
No.
It's
Oh,
not at
we
all.
believe you.
No.
You know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So, as a fan, and then going, holy crap, I'm on this thing? Are you kidding me?
Mhm.
And it's a character that I can get behind and I love. And then they let me play other things, other characters in the show, guests, It's a dream job, and I just love working with them. I really and I love the show itself too. Like, forget what I'm doing, just the overall. The show just makes me laugh. It really does.
Every single week, it makes us laugh. And what I'm getting from everything you just said is that you should just do the podcast with us every week because you'd have something to talk about.
Oh, God, absolutely. I'll be there. Soundboard
every
and all.
week. That's it, guys. Fred's got the soundboard. We're ready to
Here
go.
we go.
And speaking of Lower Decks being part of the Star Trek history, what an episode this week!
Oh, man. Yeah.
Deep Space Nine, finally. I know many fans were waiting to see Deep Space Nine for many seasons because there's so many
Yes.
references to other Star Trek, and so we all vibed so much seeing you and Kira Nerys.
Kira Nerys.
Oh.
No.
He's still my heart.
I know. And that they got, Nana Visitor to do. I mean, she's just such a. Oh, wow, what a treat.
So
What an
you sound like you
amazing-
had a lot of fun working.
Oh
this
yeah, and I
episode.
mean, again, the sad part is, and not to we did, and the sad part is we're recording solo. I wish we were doing more things, but pandemic and schedule doesn't allow. But when I saw it together, the chemistry's there.
yes.
And the history of them are there, and it's just
Mhm.
I was just it was a real honor, and and just seeing this whole episode actually is great because all the subplots are about people's past in some way, whether they're real pasts or false pasts, and
Mhm.
and each character gets to have a little exploration of of identity, and it was just so interesting to see, Akira and Shaxs have this past of, and you get a real good look into Bajoran culture. Just
Yes.
like, no, it's important that you do not owe me. No one owes me. I know, and you're arguing the opposite of what humans would do. You didn't do anything. No, you did it, and you're the reason we did it. And it's always like, it's based on heroism and sacrifice.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And almost selflessness. Like, don't thank me, I thank you. No. It's like to a point of violence, and it's really.
Do you think they would have went there? Do you think they would have went there if they couldn't settle it? They would have just gone blow for a minute.
Not necessarily. I don't know if they go Klingon with it, but it would be a yelled out argument and maybe slam doors.
And some broken bottles at Quarks.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And speaking of Armin Shimmerman, okay, bringing back Quark, that is just it was such a joy. Nobody screams like him, by the way. I mean, anything
Jack
that
Quaid
happened.
has
Jack
a good
Quaid.
scream.
Jack
Jack
Quaid.
Quaid has a good scream.
Jack Quaid has the scream, but I gotta say, Quark, man, that just killed me. I did, and I'm friends with Armin. He and I go way back for different reasons. For we had the same agency, and I've seen him in theater, and he's such an amazing talent as an actor and a director. He does so many things, but that's a specific character he does. And he does it so well, and it's so different than his personality. That's what's so great. I mean, it shows what an actor he's such an amazing actor. And, but that I forgot how funny that scream is. It's like, that was amazing. Each character had to deal with, I love Tendi's, backstory too, realizing we didn't know that what an ass kicker she is in that way, and her family, and her just hiding from her past, and same with her newfound friend, and I thought that was so interesting. And
The question of belonging,
belonging. It was like Worf, what I mean? He's not really part of his culture, what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was interesting seeing. So I loved it, and the show, this particular episode, I got to play Trade Minister Korzak,
Oh,
Oh, yeah?
cool.
I'm playing somebody
Yeah.
very snooty, and I'm very different from Shaxs. So that's what I love working on this show. You're allowed to do that character and this guy, and they should have had a fight. That would have worked out.
I should have done my research beforehand. I didn't know that. Was that your line where you go, I don't know how these alphas
Yes.
won the oh,
Yeah.
so
And
good.
but the line for me was tacky Cardassian fascist eyesore. That was the one.
That was the
Yes.
best. That was the
Call
best
it
line.
that. The anger
Well-
of the Cardassians.
Oh, man.
Absolute
It's like-
It's
Cardassian.
interesting because
Yeah.
that's finally where you can see Shaxs being really in his element with
Yeah.
Kira Nerys in that
Exactly.
place where he doesn't want to be, and
That's
yeah.
right, and it's like, and it's their bonding almost. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And and they fought hard. The real story is the oppression and horror that the Cardassians brought to these people.
Mhm.
You know, and so they have a chip. But I always think of Bajorans as, he's I'm spiritually centered, damn it. I'm trying to be centered. I'm in my calm space. And that's like, and you realize like he's coming from a lot, and and how I love how un-Starfleet he can become.
Yes.
I don't understand this technology. Like, he's so not. I think the last line in the last episode, he says to the person apprehending, the Starfleet officer apprehending his captain is, I'm going to kill you. I mean, that's just like, I just love that he goes there, and yet he's trying so hard to,
Well, it's so funny too because I'm sure Mike McMahon knew when everybody was gonna start watching this episode. They drop out of war, but it's DS9, and everybody, including everyone on this podcast, is fanboy. It's like, oh my god, it's Deep Space Nine, and then you have Shaxx deliver that line, the opposite of what everyone is feeling, is just so fucking perfect.
It was like
Oh my
perfect. I
God.
died. I just couldn't believe that's what we're calling it. I mean, in the script, I was like, really? That's my opening line? Of course, it's our opening
Of course.
line. Of course.
Of course.
There it is. And it's like an amusement park, I love it.
Yeah.
Oh man, and the bar is great, and yeah, and then there's all these little Easter egg, little funny things, like even seeing Dr. Tana having a drink when she's doing the cat.
Yeah. Yeah.
It just killed me,
And Shaxx would have been down with that too.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, he's deeply in love.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really it. I know a lot of people were expecting, with Kira, and all, like, no, he loves Dr. Tana because, Diane. No. Because she brings out he's not only libido, but the kind of a softer, sensitive side.
Yeah, we were saying on the podcast earlier that we're learning a lot more about the characters this season, especially season 3, and this relationship between Shaxx and Tana, which has been like a fan favorite amongst the community. So how's it been?
Vigman.
Yeah. How's it?
Amazing, isn't she?
How's it like to play that relationship with Vigman? And did you expect it to take off in the fan community as much?
I had no idea. I was hoping, because it made me happy, but I didn't know if it was just because it was me. It was us,
Yeah.
But I was very happy that people liked it, because we were loving it. I thought it was such a great idea, and only because he became the I just want to talk about my feelings. You never asked me how my day went. I died. And she's just like, she's bones. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
She's like, listen, I want to drink and just shut up. Let's get it on. She's tough. She's tougher than he is in many ways. Not as a fighter, but as she's a smart,
Field
powerful.
doctors.
Yes.
Doctors.
That's right. She's a field doctor, and she's smart, and she's like, she just holds her own, and she just thinks he's a great big teddy bear, loves him. You know what I mean? And it's just, I just love though that we didn't play into certain what we would expect. You know what I mean? She's just like fun. She's kinky. She's smart. She's like powerful. She's funny. She's no BS, right?
Yeah.
And I'm kind of a romantic.
The chat is asking about the tail loss. Do you really know?
How do you know? If I can comment on that. Kill lot.
Yeah,
So
he'd be killed on sight.
Yeah, Mike McMahon
That's
comes
right.
out with chloroform. It's just like, nope.
But I love her no matter what. I'll say it like that. But yeah,
I love that. I'm sorry, Fred. Go
Go ahead, please.
Oh no, I was gonna say I adore that scene in season 2 when they trade spaces. The lower deckers become like the high ranking officers during the training stuff, and you guys become the lower deckers. And you guys are in like the cramped lower decks bunks, and she just comes and like claws at you and then like cuddles up next to you. It's just like that's love right there.
It is love. It's naked time.
Naked time.
I know it's so beautiful, and again we see stuff about them that you wouldn't expect, and that's what's so great, and what love will actually bring out in people, So we're excited about it. I'm really thrilled that the fans are as into it as we are, But you just never know, You hope.
Oh, relationships always work in this fandom. Look at Star Trek Discovery and so
Right.
everybody's
Giraffe.
about it.
That's right. That's right. That's really true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Fred, you're now part of an elite group of Star Trek characters that have died and come back from the dead.
Yes.
We go back to season 1 and Shax's heroic sacrifice to save Rutherford. Now that some time has passed, was Shaxs originally supposed to stay dead, or was this the plan all along to just be back in season 2 with little to no explanation?
Well, like I say, and I hope the directors and writers aren't watching this because I'm going to give you a spoiler.
Oh, he's dead, Jim.
Thanks for being on.
Jim, he's dead, Jim. It's the Jiom, Jim.
Jim.
Jim. It's Jim, and Spock was Captain. Captain, that vaccine was our only hope, Captain. I would say, again, I couldn't answer that with any accuracy because I was surprised I would die and come back, and there were many stories I was given as to what went on, and I'm starting to formulate it in my head. But in
It's the
terms
koala.
of, I don't think he understands. What's that?
It's the koala.
The koala.
Koala.
The koala in the sky.
Yeah.
You do know. Okay. but in answer to your question, which is a really good question, you're saying, was he supposed to stay dead? What do you mean?
Was the character supposed to be kind of like a one-off? Like we saw with Hammer in Strange New Worlds, and that was it supposed to be one-off, and then you'd be back in a different role the next season? But
No.
Basically, was Shaxs always supposed to return in season 2?
yeah.
Yes. I will say that.
Okay.
No. Okay, I see what you're and I think I'm not speaking out of school here. This and I hope I get corrected if I'm wrong, please, and I will come on the show and tell you. But this was a nod for the fans. Okay, we actually have an answer. Okay, there's a way. But the thing was, and I loved how many fans didn't want to know. Like it was so funny how we were making a nod to those characters in Star Trek and in general science fiction and fantasy that die and come back, and like without really giving an answer.
Yeah.
And yet it was a tremendous ordeal for Shaxs. I will tell you that. Okay, and dimensions and black mountains were involved, and spirituality, and I don't think he expected it. He didn't know what was happening, so
Especially for somebody religious like he is, who believes in the prophets and all this. That must be
it's
complicated.
Incredible. It's very complicated, and it's nothing but fear and gratitude. It's what comes out. No, truly, I mean that's the reality for him. But it was a nod to that, to the fans actually, of saying like, okay, we got to have one of these. I thought it was going to be. There's the bad universe, the good, originally the concept was
like a mirror universe. Yeah.
The beard universe, and the joke kind of was that like the good universe and the bad universe had the same Shaxs. You know what I mean? Like it didn't matter because he's kind of both. Like he's just as badass in the other place.
Yes.
You know what I mean? But
That's
it was
amazing.
Yeah, that was kind of a thing we were tossing around and thought it was funny. You know, because remember the show is, while it's canon, it is kind of going for some referential material for fans,
Absolutely.
and also giving a nod to the genre too. You know what I mean? Just saying, like,
No one is ever dead in sci-fi
No,
unless there's a cold body in front of you on the
because
television.
But even then-
Fright doesn't really exist.
Even then.
You know, yeah. Bring me Genesis. Come on, people. You know, it's like, so it's like, yeah. So it's one of those. Yeah, it's so. I mean, bring me Genesis. I have to do the Christopher Lloyd version, but yeah. So it was quite an ordeal for him. And we'll probably reveal a little bit more. My thing is, I love that he doesn't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
When anyone asks him, and then he wants to talk about it with Dr. Tana, and she's like, "Well, I don't know. Let's move on."
It's so sweet.
Yeah.
It is really
He
sweet.
did talk about it with Rutherford though, and
Yes.
the
Rutherford.
actual knowledge just like made
Broke him. It broke
Yeah.
him.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, absolutely. That's what I'm saying. It's deep spirit. It's deep interdimensional spiritual knowledge. I love that
the
Rutherford
relationship.
episode.
Their,
too.
their relationship is so good.
I know. Baby Bear. Yeah.
Oh, baby bear.
Baby Bear. No, he's great, and I love that Rutherford episode.
Oh, it was
Oh,
so
that was so
Mhm.
good.
It's probably one of my favorite things. It's just like showing really what he's about and what happened
Yeah.
and what he has to deal with. So good.
Yeah.
And I just love that they did that. You know.
You had a great line in there because like you have to stun him in that episode, and like you have like you know what like listen, Shaxs loves shooting shit, but at the same time he doesn't want to shoot his like this is
No.
like almost like a
Baby
son to him, and he goes, "I'm sorry, baby bear,"
Sorry,
and stuns him, and it's like there's like
Mhm.
a lot of regret there.
There is. No, he doesn't. No, he's very. Remember, it's not just about killing stuff, even though it does feel like that with the warp core. I love when he's like, "I get to destroy the warp core." It's like, it is that, but no, he's very protective of his family and his friends.
Yeah.
And he's loyal to the end, and that is really what he's about. He doesn't. It's not just. It's just he sussed out what was going on.
Yep.
You know, and he knew, and he had to do his job. But it doesn't make it easy, and that's like one of the key insights to him. You know.
Fred, we have a comment on our YouTube chat here from Zandara, and she says,
Hi.
"I am glad to have you as part of my Blizzard Games world and also my Star Trek world. Your presence is joyful."
Sundar, thank you.
I'm
Thank you.
sure she appreciates that, and that kind of leads me into my next question. Listen, we were saying it before we went live. Your resume of voice acting roles is just iconic and never ending.
Been around a while.
Yeah. I listen, even if you haven't been around a while, like just even like recent stuff, it just doesn't end. I know Hawk, Eric, myself, like we're huge fans of Mass Effect. You voiced the famous villain of the first entry, Saren Arterius.
That's
like,
right.
Ooh.
Oh.
I will.
It is so. Please go on. Illuminate me with your knowledge.
Fred, I will leave the podcast and just put Mass Effect in right now and start playing and ditch you all. So don't do that to me, man.
No, my friend, it is too late for me. Don't.
Oh my God.
Ask me your question.
I will. I also learned looking up everything that you've done that you also voice Xur in Destiny, which I also love.
I have wonderful things for you.
Give me that exotic engram.
It was brought to me by one of the nine. Please, it is a pencil, some sort of graphite thing you must use. Yeah,
Oh, I'm dying.
it will never dull. No, but
Also,
I love Sir.
Xur's
Here's
so
a gold
great.
engram for you.
Oh, you.
Oh,
thank
nice,
you.
Eric.
What you got to do with Xur for when they did the whole
Game show?
Yeah, the game show is great with the horse. Oh my God. I could go. Listen, this could turn into a Destiny podcast very
Okay.
quickly, and that's not what we're
Yeah.
here
But-
for.
but-
Let's do it.
I'm-
Eyes
So-
up.
Oh no, trust me, I will. I'll do it. I'll just do
Okay.
it. I'll go off. You're also known for voicing Hulk on a variety of different Marvel projects.
Yeah, let me do that sometimes. Yeah.
And I think I am going to let Giraffe very quickly. You have a story
Yeah.
about that, yes?
So literally last week, I was at a volunteer meeting for the San Diego Comic Fest, and we were chit chatting about voice acting and how it was important and so on. And somebody said, "Listen, every time I read the Hulk, I read it in my head in Fred's voice."
Oh,
And I was like, I need to tell him that.
that's so kind. Tell them thank you very much. I appreciate
I
that.
will.
There we
appreciate
go.
that. I've been able to, with Hulk, it's been great because I got to play him in many incarnations, from a beast-like type Hulk. Not, I played Beast.
You played Beast too, yeah.
I did,
Yeah.
yes, I did. From being, kind of a monstery Hulk, kind of a child to like a friend, to a reluctant teammate, to a friend, to like a father figure, to and it's just Banner and him just trying to figure their way out. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I've been very, very blessed to be with that guy for a long time, and happy to be in his green feet. He's a really, and I love every incarnation of it. I really do, and all the other actors who have played it, and and it's just a really interesting. It's an interesting character to have to play because he struggles. Again, we're talking about Shaxs. He struggles with trying to be at peace. Everyone's he just gets angry. Blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, he wants to be left alone. Lou Ferrigno and I totally agreed on that point. He's like, no, Hulk he wants to be left alone. Stop. And then as a superhero, if you're truly dispossessed or in trouble, he wants to help. You know what I mean? But but he never forgets a slight.
That's true.
And Saren, another one. He should have been a good guy. Arterius, I'm talking about Saren,
right.
He's one of those guys who it was complicated. It was the first time I ever played a very complex character in a video game. Like if you told me all the classical theater I was studying, through school and in theater and all that, the years I did that would be in video games, I would have thought, really? How is that?
Such a complex role.
Hackman, come hither! It's a complex role because he could be. It's sort of like Dr. Lecter. He should have been a good guy. You know what I mean? And then he had to get twisted, and he knew he was twisted. And he had to do a lot of bad things. And Zurg's another one he is a good guy.
Zurg,
to me. And Zurg is just like. I just loved playing him because I loved the things he had to present. I loved his position in the game, like what he did. And then now he has to host a game show.
Oh, yeah.
Best juxtaposition. Let us now go to the wheel. Yeah, like he's like the wrong guy to be like, and now you have won. Yeah.
Though I do love every time at the end you'd complete the the 6-man event, and then at the end you'd be like, we'll see you next time.
Gotta still do the show.
Yeah, it was so good. But
we were dying all through that recording.
Oh.
Like I really was. I was so happy they did that.
That's definitely one of those like Bungie just says fuck it, do whatever you want.
I couldn't believe
fun,
it.
right?
Honest to God, it was like the Star Trek thing we were just talking about. I couldn't believe that they were going to take this character and do that. But it works, and it's just like. It's just he's got to do this now.
I love it. But you've played all these roles over the years, but talking about the ones that we just did, like how does playing Shaxs, as a Trek fan, I guess, like compare to all those other roles? If you can, I know it's kind of a tough question.
Well, it's okay. Here's one thing is that Star Trek was so iconic. Like I've played a lot of characters, like Hulk, for example, is like playing, like sometimes I play Darth Vader or I play like certain characters that have existed for a long time. So Hulk, I'm stepping into this situation, and I want to bring him. I don't want to betray anything that everyone knows about him. I want to bring everything I know about him and all the previous performances and what I love, because I was a fan of him too, in the shows and the comic books. Those were comic books, there's a lot of that. And So then you do research, but that's like playing, James Bond or something. It's like you're going to do your best of this, and then someone else is going to do something else, and that you're taking over for somebody and someone else would get it from you. You know what I mean? It's just like, so you just want to bring that heart, what you think needs to be there, working with your writers and your directors and your animators, right? In the case of Mass Effect and like Destiny, those were, I was informed as to, I had to create, I was informed of what they wanted. So we built a character right on the spot for them. And then I think of them spiritually, like I think of them what they are, their personalities are, okay, and what they've been through, what they are. Saren was interesting because it was a one-off.
Right.
You know what I mean? It was,
Yeah.
to me, that's like a movie. You know what I mean? I did a movie that he had a beginning, middle, and an end, right? Zurg just keeps getting in these new situations.
The gift that keeps on giving.
Well, because he is literally a gift. You know what I mean? Like, here, I have another thing for you, And it's just like, I always.
Oh, you gave me a God roll Hawk Moon. Thank you.
Yeah,
so
right?
much.
Yes, absolutely. And fat free, you will enjoy this. And so I there's a little bit of humor. There's a little bit of there's tragedy with Saren. There's tragedy and humor with all of them. And so you get to, I guess, with Shaxs, it was a similar thing. I was informed what he was to be, and then we built it up from there. And then as what's wonderful about episodic television is that you really get to explore a character really well, like you do with a lot of video games too. You're constantly going back and playing characters. Shaxs, I learned so much about him while doing it. Like when we started it, I just thought he was he was going to be the hardened general. He was going to be the tough guy, and that was going to be the comedy. That was going to be, he's in juxtaposition with the rest of the crew. But then what I realized is the heart behind it. And then you get into Bajoran culture. Yes. And then you got to get into what he is as a Bajoran too. And then like he sees himself as this protector, and he's a benevolent paternal character. You know what I mean? Even though I would want him on my side in any fight.
Yeah, no, I mean, I actually love what you're saying, just because I now that you're saying it, I almost wish there's a scene in this episode, and you're always strapped for time with animation and a half-hour show. It would have been great to see him just like walk into the Bajoran temple, like on Deep Space Nine, like on the promenade, right? Because he is so spiritual. So great points about
Give
Shaxs.
it time, my friend.
Give it. Okay. All right.
Pod exclusives.
Yeah. Fred, I think we're just about out of time. Does anybody have a quick question, or you guys good?
I could talk to you forever.
I know we could talk to you for another 2 hours.
We can do that for 3 hours.
I would love to.
Well, let's make it a date. Maybe have you back on for season 4 Lower Decks.
Anytime.
Special Shaxs
Honestly,
episode.
Yeah.
You know where to find me now. So anytime.
Yes.
Special Shaxs episode.
There we go.
Come on, we'll share it with all the bears. Come on.
All the baby bears.
That's right.
Fred, we want to thank you so much for taking time to speak with us tonight. Again, it's been an absolute privilege.
For me too.
We can't wait to see where this show takes Shaxs, because it keeps surprising us with him. You said it all tonight. He's such a complex character. We absolutely love him. Before we let you go, other than Lower Decks, any upcoming projects that you have that you'd like to plug?
Well, we're one big one that we're really pushing for and excited about is Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur.
Okay.
I play Moon Girl. No, I play the Devil Dinosaur. They're really stretching me now. It's for Marvel, Disney. I hope there's no conflict or anything. But no, it's Marvel Disney. It's a new show. Really excited about it because the art and the music, and Lawrence Fishburne is behind the whole thing, and it's really
wow. I didn't know they were adapting this. That's amazing.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, and he's the coolest. I'm gonna have to gush and say he's just the coolest guy to work with.
Man,
I mean, really. So yeah, it's just been an incredible experience, and so I'm looking forward to people hearing what they think. It's got great music, and it has this very street art Basquiat look to it. It's just different. It's got I don't want to spoil too much, but it's one of those things where people always say, "Oh, you got to watch the show, it's so different." It's like no, watch it. it's really different. It's really excited.
That's amazing. I love that comic. It's so good.
Yeah, me too. I guess I've known about Devil Dinosaur for a long time. Being Hulk, he's had encounters with devils
Yep.
through the years. But this is a real great relationship between a brilliant, genius girl, like black girl of color that is like this, creates a time warp and brings this dinosaur in, and they become they fight crime together. And it's just awesome.
Everything I like.
Yeah.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah,
Amazing.
It's really, really fun, and it's funny too. But so that's the big one.
I can't wait for that. Finally, if you'd like to be found, where can people find you on the World Wide Web, the internet?
The World Wide Web. I don't know what I said. Just Instagram, my name. Twitter, my name, Fred Tatasciore, and also Instagram. I'm not always the best at the social media, but I'm getting there. But I'll post things, and always happy to hear from people.
It's on the screen right now underneath
Oh,
Fred.
there you go.
Okay.
Cool. Awesome.
I will try to please everybody be patient with me. I'm not ignoring you.
Ladies and gentlemen.
But I would like to do that, and I'm going to try to put together some more independent work and put it
Oh,
but I'll
cool.
inform you guys.
Oh, cool.
Awesome.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very
Thanks.
cool. Ladies and gentlemen, Fred Tatasciore, it has been an honor. Thank you so much again for joining the show.
Thank you.
No, absolutely. And again, we'd love to have you on sometime in season 4. So.
Oh, anytime. You know where to find me.
Yeah.
You guys, thank you for your awesome questions, and you guys, I love this. This is such a great podcast.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you so much.
You.
We are going to take the applause. There they are. We are going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we will have our review of this amazing episode of Star Trek Lower Decks. Hear all, trust nothing. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Let's go.
We're back.
Hey! Welcome back to the show. Guys, we really hope you enjoyed our interview with Fred Tatasciore.
So much fun.
I know we did.
Yeah.
We kept interviewing after we left you
we
guys.
Did. It didn't
Kept
stop.
talking.
It didn't
Yeah.
stop. But
Man.
we really like the vibe of our show when it's just us talking, but every now and then when we get a guest, it is just a
I think
really
it-
special thing, and Fred was super
Are we
special
really
on that
back?
show.
Oh, we're back.
All
Yeah, we're
Star
back.
Trek like people that we've talked to are just like super chill and like just the nicest people. I love the Star Trek community, man.
Yeah.
It's just awesome.
Absolutely amazing. And it's Lieutenant Shaxs. What else can you say?
Papa Bear.
Papa Bear.
A bear.
Speaking of Papa Bear, he had a pretty significant and amazing episode this week on Lower Decks. Hear all, trust nothing. It is our review. We're back on Deep Space fucking Nine, man. Come on.
Just
Come
go
on.
around in awe at all the pilots.
Just keep circling. Just keep circling. Our roundtable order tonight will be Giraffe, Eric Hawk, and then myself. Speaking of, I already said, but like Deep Space Nine, like before, there's like 3 different plots in this episode: A, B, C, probably a D and an E. Those are the Enterprises. Let's just take a minute. How did it feel when the Cerritos dropped out of warp and boom, there was DS9?
My God.
Okay, listen. First of all, that's where I feel that knowing too much was sad because we knew from the
The trailer,
the trailers and from the announcement. Like I can't imagine how I would have lost my mind
Right.
Mhm.
if I hadn't known that they were doing anything like this. Like imagine how long we've heard listener being there's always a ref to TNG, there's always a ref to TOS, there's always a ref to like even Discovery. No love for DS9, no love for DS9, and then boom, DS9. Like that would have been incredible.
Mhm.
I'm not a super DS9 fan. Not that I dislike it. I like it. Star Trek, I love all Star Trek, but it's not my track. But I was still like super happy to have like that reference for everybody that is such a fan of DS9. So I was happy for you guys.
Yes.
Aw.
When I saw the screener for this, only me and Julian had got up to this point, so I couldn't even write in our spoiler chat that it was like, oh my God, this is happening, because I always assumed that it was just gonna be like a cold open where we're gonna see them and then we're just
Have
gonna
a
go
spoiler.
on.
Yeah,
We don't
like
have a
fake
spoiler
out.
chat.
Oh yeah, that doesn't exist, right?
No, it's a regular chat. But yeah, I assumed it was gonna be a just a cold open and then we'd go do an adventure somewhere else. But the fact that we got to stay on the ship, the fact that they got to play the theme song twice at the beginning, just made me so happy. And they animated it so beautifully to be the same as the intro, more or less. And
No Defiant.
no Defiant. Well, that tiny little ship is with Worf somewhere. Oh man, little exactly. But it DS9 is one of my favorite shows. So getting to go back on this station and seeing another Bajoran, like Fred had said, like experience this Kardashian piece of shit was amazing.
Eyesore.
I loved it.
So good. Like, I'm kind of like Giraffe in that it wasn't my show in that, but then again, like I just finished a complete binge of the series last week.
Okay.
Oh, I
Yeah.
just started.
Wow.
I knew it was coming up because I knew it was gonna be the week of my birthday, that DS9 episode. So I started last week and I started rewatching it, and I had not watched it since the 90s.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Damn.
Wow.
I mean, the whole series, like I've rewatched episodes, but like in row,
Yeah.
like after
Yeah,
another,
yeah,
Yeah.
So
Yeah, people tell you like, watch this one or watch that one and that, and you
Yep.
kind of pick them out. But like to go
Yeah.
through the entire thing again, it's just, it really was like some of the best writing Star Trek ever.
Yeah.
especially older. I know that I
Mhm.
appreciate it way more now than when I was in my 20s.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, I was still a kid.
I was a teenager when
yeah,
that came out. Yeah.
Yep.
No, I get that.
Yeah, I was a teenager too.
You were. We're the same
Yeah.
age. Well,
Yeah.
you're younger than me. You are
Yeah,
technically.
it
Oh
came
wait.
out
By
first-
wait. Hawk, I'm sorry. I have to interrupt
Well,
the show real
DS9
quick.
came later to France. That's why.
Hey, Giraffe.
Yes.
Happy fucking birthday.
Bonne fête à
That's
toi.
right.
Bonne fête à toi.
Ooh,
That was
français,
almost
merci.
a good attempt. No, it was good. That was good. It's better than
That
I
was
could
good.
do.
Oh yeah,
better than
oh,
I could
yeah. I know.
ever.
I know how to sing in French sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
sometimes.
22-year-old. See, I was not even born when
Yeah.
DS9 was out.
Yeah.
And I just want to say,
Cool.
Giraffe, that you laughed at this word because you didn't know what it was mean. And Takako just used it. I so rarely laugh out loud when I watch stuff, but I guffawed when they had to go around
Guffawed.
the station. Again. Guffawed.
Did you see the Titmouse shirt?
I
for
did.
this-
I ordered it at like 8:49
Nice.
a.m. this morning.
Speaking of,
It is still in stock in all sizes, as Zandara says. I have to say, Hawk, I don't know if I interrupted you if you're finished.
I am. Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, we're just blown away that we're at DS9 and that it wasn't a fake out on Lower Deck's part.
But Hawk, you know how I kept on messaging you to be like, this article that I'm gonna write. It was all because of this fucking episode, and I was teasing you. And I'm like, just watch the screener, man.
I do enjoy watching them like on a weekly basis and that, yeah. But I was tempted in that because you kept teasing. I was like, what is he writing about?
Indeed, I was writing about something.
I
Speaking of,
can't imagine what they're gonna do next because like they peaked. They peaked.
they
What's
haven't.
happening
They
next?
I also
haven't.
want to say, if you did read my article, give a big round of applause to Mr. Eric down there because that Cisco he drew is fucking beautiful.
Oh yeah, it's so good, Eric.
Yeah.
Thank
so
you.
Good. Let's get into our review here, guys. I just want to say that DS9 is my show and I lost my collective shit. Let's talk about Carol first because she is, I think, the A-plot of this week. The Cerritos is screwed again, as it always seems to be. Because originally they were supposed to be backing up to Vancouver, which we've seen in season 1, while their captain opened up negotiations with the Karema. Is that how they're pronounced? The former members of the
Karema.
Dominion, the Karema. But once again, Starfleet gives Carol a little no warning at all that she's going to be the one doing the negotiations now, while the Vancouver is rerouted to some bullshit emergency that Carol's even like
A brown hole.
a
Brown
brown hole
hole.
isn't a thing. Like that's an asshole, not a.
It's like
not a
when you
brown
black
hole.
out and you brown out.
Um,
You know, it's like.
Not
I
a-
shouldn't look this up on the
No, you
internet.
shouldn't.
No.
I
No.
tried and it's like, no.
No, you
No.
can.
You're gonna find a picture of an asshole. I think.
Yes.
is what you're gonna find. Listen, Carol. Meanwhile, who was in line for promotion, right, to a better ship, and we've talked about this already this season, being given a bad deal yet again. Thoughts, Jeff?
Yeah, I feel like I get yelled at every time I speak about Carol Freeman. So- Not by you, by people on the internet.
Yeah, well, fuck the internet.
Yeah, but somehow, before Lower Decks, every time we were like kind of laughing, like, oh, it must be like Starfleet crap. Like there is no OSHA, there is no HR, nobody knows what they're doing. And I like that Lower Decks is really like giving us the real feel. I mean, I feel we all work that kind of job where like suddenly they just tell you, you just go do that. And you're like,
Mhm.
what do you mean? I know nothing of that thing. So it's just like Starfleet real life stuff. But it gives to the idea that Carol Freeman is somebody that's reliable. And I like this because I choose to see it this way. I choose to see it. It's okay. The Vancouver is not here, but it's the Cerritos, and Carol Freeman got this.
They can
So
get the
it's
job
cool.
done.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's
But I
what
think I'm
MC's
being
saying in the
up-
chat,
I
too. I
think
think they were putting trust in Carol.
Mm.
I think I'm being optimistic because it's Starfleet. They don't know what they're doing. Let's be honest. They don't know which ship is which ship. They don't know. Like they get the Enterprise stolen like 15 times a season. Like, come on.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Part of me feels like the Cerritos and Freeman are just the person they're like, well, they know that person's going to be able to do it. So we're just going to shove that
Yeah.
shitty job onto that person. I hate that feeling, but I feel like that's what the Cerritos is at this point in the show. Yeah, that's all I have.
That's fair. Hog.
Yeah, I mean, we know she'll get it done somehow or other in that. But then again, like, they dump this on her without a moment's notice. And it's like, then she has to go read up on the Karema for a negotiation. And we know how bad negotiations can go in Star Trek and that, because like there's all sorts of considerations with like different races around the galaxy.
You would think that Captain Goyen would have just called her, right? And just been like, give her a heads up.
There's a real question, because Starfleet has diplomatic corps. Where are these fuckers? They're never here. They never do anything.
You know
But we
why?
know they
You know
exist.
why? It's because they always just call Sarek before he died, and he almost fucked up negotiations too. So
That's the truth. Several times, in several seasons, and several series. Like, true. But
we need to negotiate something. Oh, just call Sarek. Everything will be fine.
the worst guy, by the way, to negotiate anything. Like, it's terrible, dude. Anyway, yeah, I would like, actually, that's something I would like to see in Discovery. The freaking diplomatic corps. That's insane that they don't have an actual branch for diplomacy. That's
Maybe they do on the higher
mind-boggling.
class ships.
No, they do. Like, there are references to diplomatic corps, like
Yeah.
several times in Star Trek. You just never see them.
I meant maybe they just don't go on the lower class ships. It's just beneath them.
Why isn't it like a standard officer to have on?
That's fair. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
On any
Yeah.
sort of ship, right?
Yeah.
One specializing
right.
in
Yep.
negotiations, culture, cultural, negotiations.
I feel like Troy would have been that position.
Yeah,
On
Troy
the-
was great in that position, but then again, she was also an
But-
empath.
Yeah.
You need to know like a lot of the history of the Federation and where they stand
Yeah.
on things and
Mhm.
stuff like this. Which, yeah, you could have a position like this on the ship. Yeah, absolutely.
Anything else, Hawk?
I'm good.
Good.
Yeah.
We had so much fun talking to Fred about Armin Shimmerman. Great to have him back on the show as Quark. Like it was just like watching DS9 all over again. Fucking trying to get profit like every which fucking way. He gets kidnapped. It takes Quark getting kidnapped, which seems to happen all the time on Deep Space Nine. I think I wrote that. It is the DS9 trope of him. Oh no. He got kidnapped because he left out important details, which he always does.
Yeah.
But Carol, once again, kind of as you were saying, Giraffe, at this point, Starfleet just trusts her to get the job done. She seals the deal. I guess the question is, when is Starfleet going to actually notice the Cerritos, or have they finally noticed the Cerritos? And this is, like you were kind of saying, why they got the job done.
Can we speak about quarks?
We could speak about Quarks the rest of the episode. Morn was
Okay.
there.
No, I do think that, I mean, that's the thing. She didn't get she didn't take the promotion, right? But then maybe the whole ship is getting a promotion. That would be good. Like up at a class, maybe they're gonna finish by destroying the Cerritos entirely, and they're gonna all move in a better, bigger, more badass ship. Why not?
So like they're just gonna have a party at the end of the year and just trash it when they get their new ship.
No, I don't know.
They'll just
like,
add a
something
nacelle in
can
the middle.
happen. I never understood why, like, when they blow up one of their ship, like, they just, like, give them the same one, like, updated. It's like, you don't have other ships? Like,
No,
can't
they
you,
did.
like,
I'm sorry. They
put
did
them
that.
in
They did that in Picard season 3 with the Titan. Sorry, I had to.
I have no idea. Like, these enterprises, like, D, E, F, I don't know.
Well, there was the beautiful Titan that we know and love.
Oh,
And then
no. Let's not take. It's like the carpet thing. Like, why do you always go back to that? So I like the Titan A and whatever. No, give them a new ship. Just give them a new ship. Give them like a Constitution.
I'm just saying,
class,
it's the same
Galaxy class,
example.
like,
It's the same
yeah.
example.
Just give them a new ship. Like, stop upping the Cerritos or like fixing it. And this thing is trashed. They say it themselves. It's trashed. Give them a new one.
They can't just move the crew to a higher level ship or something, right?
I'm sure they
Doesn't-
have like
Yeah, they
ships
should.
being like built all the time. Like, they need crews for that.
Yeah.
Like, what? They just like find new crews all the time? That's weird. Anyway.
Would you really
I
want to
agree with
see
you,
the Cerritos go though?
I mean, if it's done in a proper way and not with the joystick, I'd be fine with it.
Yeah, why not?
I would love to see them happier on a newer ship and them being taken more seriously. If that requires them to get a new ship, I'm fine with the Cerritos going the way of, the
It's called Star
Titan.
Trek Lower Decks, not Star Trek Cerritos. So,
Yeah,
the only problem is if they all take promotions and they're not Lower Deckers anymore, then what happens to the show? That's the thing I want to know.
Maybe the Cerritos becomes a different class of ship too. There's a lot of letters in the alphabet.
True. And I see what you did there.
I know.
I don't know if Starfleet's ever going to notice the Cerritos in that, but then again, like if they ever did get a new ship in that, I think it would really change the vibe. Like I don't think we'll ever see it.
But they did that with the Mandalorian, man. They got rid of the razor.
And that Naboo Starfighter is sexy.
It's so sick.
True. But then again, like this is Star Trek and that, and it's like in any series, we always see the ship as like
Sam,
another kind of cast member to it, right?
You thought you were inside the Cerritos, but actually the Cerritos was inside of you.
I gotta tell you, just say I've fallen in love with the Cerritos. I would hate to see it go.
Kinda, right?
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love her.
You know they're gonna blow that ship up at one
Of
point.
course they're gonna blow it up.
Yeah.
That's what they do in Star Trek, but it's still gonna be sad.
It's like the ship of Theseus. If it's a new ship, is it still the Cerritos? Because the Cerritos is like banged up. So,
before we move on, Zendara wrote, "We see Morn on the same day as the 40th anniversary of Cheers."
Thank you.
How
I was-
fitting
I
is
saw
that?
Yeah,
That's pretty awesome. I love
because he was
Cheers.
basically like Norm, for DS9, right?
Oh yeah, I mean, come on. Let's move on to Tendi and Orion stereotypes, which we've seen in previous seasons of Lower Decks. Back on board DS9, Tendi is greeted by another Orion Starfleet officer. So more and more we're seeing Orions serving. His name is Mesk. Unlike Tendi, Mesk is he's very in touch with his Orion roots. overly Orion, trying to bond with her over pirating and pillaging and all the other Orion things they do. Makes Tendi
Shanties.
super uncomfortable because she hates, sea shanties, man. Makes Tendi super uncomfortable because she hates that shit. She's trying to move past it. Listen, she's made a huge name for herself. Not a huge name yet. She's still only an ensign, but she's getting there already. Made herself getting away from that way of life. Do you think though that the way that she treated Mesk, was she a little bit too hard on him, or was this kind of the right response for him coming on so hard with the Orion pirating shit?
two things. First, about the hour, I wrote a lot of things about this in my phone, while watching the episode for the third time. So I have things to say. Sorry. I can go last if you want.
No, go, dude.
Go.
So, two things. First, what is really surprising to me is that in the Kelvinverse, we see Orions in Starfleet at the time of TOS, basically. And it seems to be a new thing in the Primeverse. So, I want to know why. Because you see Gyla in the movies, and she's an Orion, and you see another Orion too in Beyond on board of the Enterprise. So why are they Orion back then when in that verse but not the other verse? That's something that's really, for me, interesting. Is it cultural? Is it, I don't know. Anyway, so I thought about this a lot. And second thing, again, I love how these episodes are built in parallel between two characters, and we have again Tendi and Mariner exploring the idea of belonging or not belonging or having to belong, and as Fred was saying, dealing with their pasts. But I do think it's more a question of belonging, and that's why we're on board of the DS9, because that's where we belong to. It's like a place where we feel at home. And it's very interesting that Tendi and Mesk kind of are like this outshoot of the same culture, but they didn't deal the same way with the facts of being rejected from their own culture, kind of, if that makes sense. Not rejected, but
No, it does.
I feel like Mesk goes into this very cliche thing, which tells you that most probably there's no Orion embassy, or there's not a real presence of Orion in the Federation. That's really interesting too. Why? And he wants to belong, and he tries to belong this way by the holonovel with the boobs on the cover.
Really bad ones.
The really bad ones. which is super sad. Again, like Lower Decks has like this super deep question going on, and like you laugh and then you're like, that's messed up, man. Wait a minute. Like he's adopted by people in Cincinnati who tell him nothing about his culture.
Yeah,
That's
weird, right? Because at
messed up.
least the Rozhenkos like tried with Worf to like really
Exactly.
bring him
How
up in
did
some
they-
Klingon ways.
I
yeah.
wonder if
How did
they,
yeah.
when they're raising him, like all the stereotypes that you hear about the Orions is something that they were just like, this is not what we want him to know about. So they just sort of, parents get scared and sometimes they overreact, and maybe shielding their child from these, stereotypes is what they thought would keep him safe.
But the interesting thing is that we're like very late in the story of the Federation, and we see all these interspecies relationship from adopting. We see it with Michael, we see it here with Mask, we see it with Worf. Like we see people from one culture, but one race too, because like imagine being a human adopting an Orion. Like they don't even have the same like organs. They most probably like don't biologically function the same. And then you see these interspecies couple too, Saru and Tarina. You see Shaxs and Tiana. Like there is like this real mix of people, and it's very interesting to see that Mask would be adopted in Cincinnati and know nothing of his culture. Or maybe he just like goes into the badass stuff because that's cool. And there's one line that Tendi has at one point that says like, we all don't have these pheromones that make me tick. And I was like, so she grew up in this culture, but I feel like there's something missing from Tendi, that she's not totally
I feel like, or
Orion.
I feel like she's more embarrassed than anything.
I don't know, because like imagine you grew up in this that line like make me reflect, like why does she reject
her
culture?
Yeah.
Maybe because like she is okay with ethics, like she discovered ethics and she's like, okay, that's not what I want to be, which fair enough. But the way she reacts to the pheromone thing, and it's been twice, right? That there's like another time with Mariner, and actually it's been 3 times in Vindicta, in when she goes steal the post with Mariner, and like now. And I kind of wonder if she didn't leave because she's not able in Orion culture, and they made her feel different for that. And she was like, then screw it, I'm gonna be different. I'm gonna leave and I'm gonna be my own person. But the way she reacts to like the interaction with Mask is very personal and deep, and there's something that hurts. Like you don't react like this if it doesn't hurt. That's what I was thinking. And then you see she's very good at pirating. So it's not a problem of not fitting in her culture. It's not a problem of not knowing how to do things. But I wonder if we're not going to discover more about why Tendi is had to leave, or chose to leave, or doesn't want to be associated. Like there's something that hurt her, like you see in her reaction. And then you see with Mariner, because they have the same kind of thing from their past that made them not fit or not belong, and they belong in Starfleet. And that's where Tendi likes belonging in Starfleet and Mariner doesn't, but that's another story. But I do think this is very interesting episode, especially because all this culture in contact, for me, it's fascinating. How people will find their place in like already we're only one species, right? And like we have difficulty figuring it out. Imagine with like different species from different planets and different culture and different language and different biologies and different all this. It's real interesting to me. Anyway, I forgot the question. So
no, but I actually really like what you said about like Tendi possibly having like some bad memories of her family, or like something having happened there. Like but at the same time, I don't know if that's necessarily the case, because like every now and then you get moments where she has to interact with Orions, or she does things that are very Orion, where I think that there's a part of her that enjoyed being like the stereotypical pirate Orion. But I think at some point in her life, maybe she just realized there was something better and something more, and she was smarter than just pirating.
I wonder as well, like because
she had, like, you could tell. Sorry, Eric. She had so much fun doing that at the end of the episode. And it
she was
wasn't
so good. It was like inherent skill, right? But like I'll take it from like an example of myself. Like when I was younger, I didn't really care, it's not that I didn't care about the Filipino heritage. It's just like I knew very stereotypical Filipino people, and I'd be like, I don't want to deal with that. I don't want to be that. So I sort of went in a different way. And that was me being dumb and young, right? I was just like, you know what? I'm going to do the counterculture thing, or not the counterculture, but I guess technically counter.
It was like me being a Jew. I didn't want to do it.
Yeah,
you know?
but like,
no, I get it.
Like,
I totally get it.
And I feel like part of that is what Tendi's going through. Like she's still young. Like I think this episode we see her start to embrace a little bit more of that Orion heritage. Like it doesn't have to be the whole thing. Like she doesn't have to be a pirate, but there are aspects of it that maybe she can pull that are good for her as a Starfleet officer. Even now, like even as I'm 40 now, like now I'm still like I'm
22.
I'm 22 and a half because I'm older than Giraffe. And and like I'm starting to appreciate my culture more, and I think I'm bringing in more into my life, and I think that's sort of what we see with Tendi, even just like a little bit in this episode.
Okay, so I read it differently too. Sorry, Hawk.
Keep going.
Because like for me, for example, not feeding into the Somali culture was coming from the fact that people were seeing me as white, so there was something that I was not physically able to be, or that it was clearly making me different from other people, and that's where I went like screw it. Like not that my father wanted me to like be anything but I do think that this anger that we see from Tendi when like she blues up, there's something that comes like from her. Like we all have these pheromones. Like I feel she's been pointed out for not being this way or not being able, and she was just like screw it, I'm gonna be me and I'm gonna do something else. And then she discovered that there was an ethical conundrum too for her, and that if she wanted to fit, she had to give up that conundrum. But we see with Max, like she didn't have to, because people kind of like expect her to be this way. So I think there's a lot like to talk about. And again, this is incredible how they wrote these characters, because in like an interaction that is maybe 10 minutes, not even like 5 minutes total on a 20-minute episode, you have
Lower
so
Decks
much
does that so well, don't
like
they?
when Mesk just goes up and is like full on stereotypical Orion, I felt so bad for her because it was something that she'd been steering away for such a, like, at least as long as we've known her. And I understand that feeling.
At least we know how she was able to be such a good black op.
Yep.
The cleaner.
Yeah.
The cleaner.
Oh, yeah.
We're gonna get into that in a second. Hawk, any thoughts on this?
Yeah, lots.
Good luck following that up.
I know. Mesk, he annoyed the shit out of me when you first meet him and that, because he's just so, he's member of Starfleet, but he's obsessed with Orion culture and that, and like the bad elements of Orion culture. Let's
the cliche of Orion culture.
Yeah. But also, we know Tendi a little bit in that, maybe not her backstory in that, but we kind of get the idea of what kind of a person she is in that, she was kick-ass at the end, and, and she knew in the pirating and everything like that. And apparently, she was well immersed into that culture, like by her family and that full-on Orion Syndicate.
Syndicate and all.
Yeah. But the one quality in Tendi I always notice is her empathy, and empathy is a bad quality to have if you're in a criminal syndicate, especially one involved in slave trading and the like.
Yeah.
So it was like, it made me uncomfortable, Mess being like going so hard on the culture with her and that, as if that's part of the culture, and that is like just to be criminals and like,
and just because he doesn't even know better, which is even more sad. Yeah.
Like by the end you find out, it's like, okay, I mean, that's a kind of a great point about with like kids who are adopted by parents who might not be of the same ethnic or racial background as the kid, and that, and it's like, how do you raise that kid? Like, do you want them to explore their culture, or do you want them to kind of fit into the culture that you're belonging to? And that, it's like it's a huge question. Obviously this guy's parents wanted him to try and fit in with Cincinnati.
It's probably a Bengals fan.
Right. Like, who knows if he even wanted to be Starfleet in that, because he seems obsessed with Orion culture, and he obviously was not being given like any sort of like, any good material in that to learn from.
And it's a great point by you. And oop, dropped my pen. Great point, because Zendara also says like the way he wanted an Orion friend, right? Like, so much he even went and got assigned to work with her.
But let's be honest, on DS9, he most probably sees Orions. The thing is, like, she's an Orion in
Starfleet. Yep.
And so he knows there's like some safety with her, kinda.
Yeah. Yeah.
She's most probably not absolutely unhinged, or like something that he has this point where he can actually make sure that he's going to understand her. And actually, the conversation went on to why she went to medicine, and it's adding more water to my theory. I'm sorry, but like, again, if there's something with her that in the Orion culture makes her not able with the pheromones and so on, that would explain why she turns to medicine, because she may have to she had to go through medical procedure and so on.
Yeah.
I'm staying on my theory.
I will say just one more counterpoint to your theory is that this woman was known for a long time as the mistress of the winter constellation. She was a badass, Orion. I'm just pointing that out. But it is a good theory.
Again,
like
she's
it.
very
like
young,
it.
so maybe puberty happened. And
I think your theory is very sound.
Especially what we know with Orion's females,
Yep.
like with Enterprise and so on. That I don't like these episodes, but they are a matriarchal culture, society. And if she's not able to have the pheromones, does that make her unable to be, a matriarch or a leader? That would be very interesting to explore.
Maybe that's what happened. That's why she lost the title. Like
she left.
Hey, there you go.
I'm telling you this.
I like it. Hey, listen, you have the sticker for a reason. Giraffe is always right. We'll find out. Or Giraffe was right. Sticking on Tendi, later on as Quark, as happens so much on Deep Space Nine, is being kidnapped. We discover that Mesk is in fact, as we've been talking about, a not a fraud, but not a real Orion.
Poser. He's a poser.
He's a poser.
He's a real Orion,
He's a poser from Cincinnati. A la Worf, who was adopted by the Rozhenkos, though they did raise their baby right. Doesn't know the first thing about pirating. This leads to another great Tendi moment, right? For a brief couple of minutes here, we get to see, as I was mentioning earlier, the mistress of the winter constellation, the cleaner. Tendi in action once again. We also learn, this is a big one, that her family is full on Orion Syndicate. That's a big
and
fucking
famous.
deal. And famous. How was it getting to see like Tendi, even though like this is behavior that she does not really condone or like, save the day again in kind of like the most badass way possible?
I want to see more.
Sorry, she likes it. She
loves
likes it.
Oh, she loves it.
Like, we saw it with the cleaner, and I like the fact that we finally have an explanation for that episode, because this haunted me. How she became Yes, I want to like, holy shit, what happened? Like, I want to know. It's like the episode where like Rutherford keeps blinking. That's the same episode, maybe, I don't know.
No, I think it is the same episode.
Yeah, it is.
And he keeps blinking, and you're like, what the fuck happens? I want to see the full episode. I want to know what happens from one like blinking to another. And she likes it. And that's the thing. She likes being a badass, but she doesn't like being a villain. Yeah. She doesn't like hurting people. But the moment where she goes like, ah!
And she knees that guy in the face. Oh man!
And rips out his fucking tooth.
That was amazing.
The other guy's tooth.
The next guy's tooth,
yeah.
Oh, and I like how Rutherford is like loving every single.
Hell yes,
dude! It's amazing that he didn't replicate some fucking popcorn.
He should have.
Like, it was incredible, and again, like.
We have popcorn and Lupia.
Oh my god! Yes,
have, like,
my god!
Badasses, like
what
we have
Lupia?
like Mariner just like phasing everybody, and like Tendi just like pushing her way through a ship, and saving the day with science.
Saving the day with science.
Yeah, a well-rounded woman.
Yes, she is.
Mm.
Eric.
I have nothing to add. I think it's wonderful. I want to see more. More Tendi being a badass.
More Tendi.
Pretty much same. Like, yeah, that's someone. Yeah, I would love to see more in that, but do I really want to? In that?
I sort of want to see a flashback of her like younger and doing this shit, right?
Oh yes. Yes.
Ooh.
And what happened? I want to know.
Yes, the pheromones. We know, Giraffe.
I'm not sure if I want to see her in full.
I want to see the fallout, like the conundrum, the dilemma. Her.
Well, we got it with Rutherford a little bit, so I'd love to see the same thing happen with Tendi. Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to see her backstory of that. But like I love Tendi.
It would be the Lower Decks movie.
Yes.
I would want to see her like turn to that kind of life and that, because like every time I hear Cleaner, I always think, God, that that Jean Reno character,
Leon the Professional with Natalie Portman.
Yeah,
I know, it's from La Femme Nikita.
La Femme Nikita as well.
He's the guy who comes in and cleans up like a bad scene.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to tell the chat. She doesn't have the tooth anymore. Quarks has the tooth.
Yeah, he took it at the end.
Quarks definitely
He
has
took it. She doesn't have the tooth anymore.
I haven't been saying much about these talking points, but I will talk about this because I fucking love Tendi. Everybody knows Tendi's my favorite character on Lower Decks. Getting to see her go full syndicate for even just a couple of seconds is just brilliant. Eric took the words out of my mouth. The Need of the Face was a la that episode where she just like goes full black suit, Starfleet Black Ops, and knocks the shit out of a bunch of Romulans. Like, this is one of my favorite Lower Deck scenes ever. And then like she pulls the dude's tooth out and it's like, you did that with a wine arm, and he's like, shut up, I'm pirating. The fact that she says that is just so good. And then who said it in the chat? Joe wrote, I like how she scared the guy enough to jump, to which I say, where did he go?
It doesn't matter.
Where did that guy go? Is he dead? Is he dead? I think
that was a long way
dead.
to fall.
I think he's
That you
dead.
hear and go,
I wonder if that's the better thing than dealing with an Orion.
Probably. I think he's dead.
Yep.
Anyway, one of the best Lower Deck scenes ever. Fucking brilliant. Let's move on to Mariner and Jennifer, which I feel like the chat have been asking about since week 1, and here it is. I promised you, I did, that it would happen, and here it is. 6 episodes in, we get a peek into their relationship, Mariner and Jay. Do we have a ship name for them? Jariner? Jennifer?
ooh.
Jariner? Jennifer? I don't know. I'm bad at these.
Manifer?
Manifer. I like that. Well done, Hawk. Well done.
Jariner?
We're gonna ask AO3. AO3 must
AO3 now
as a tag. Yeah.
Jennifer invites Mariner to one of her friends' room parties, aka a salon, and when there she tries really hard to be civil, but the power goes out because of the Chimera's fancy EMP device. She tries so hard to do things diplomatically and be nice, but Jennifer finally calls her out and's like, I like that you don't take shit from anyone. That's like part of the reason like I'm into you. This leads to Mariner going like 100%. Ooh, Joe. Minifer. Okay, I like that too.
Manifer.
Mariner goes full Mariner, but that's also not really the point here. It's that the relationship is important to Mariner. She tried really hard to what she thought Jennifer wanted from her, but what Jennifer loves about her is Mariner being Mariner. What did we think about this moment?
Listen, kids. Don't try being somebody else in a relationship. It doesn't work. Like and she's a better person than I am, because like fuck that salon. Like
I've gone to parties that are that fucking weird, and I hated it so much.
Theater majors, ladies and gentlemen.
I like weird parties. Let's be honest. Like if
not that type of weird.
Or like they're making candles, and
candles I'm fine with.
Make candles. I can drink and I can chat. Or like they do their thing and I don't have to do anything. Like they just let me be. I'm fine. But like I think you're being very like contrary. Like no, I'm gonna send out and I'm gonna leave. That's what I'm gonna do. So I'm very happy she got to phase everybody. I think that's great. And let's be honest, like at the beginning I was like, whoa, Jennifer is a bit weird. Like she invites Mariner in a place that she knows she's not gonna like and expect her to give shit to her friend. I was like, that's
It's a little kinky.
yes.
Well, they do
but
phase
then-
themselves at the end.
Yeah.
I love that moment.
But let's be honest, when you're very friend with people, like I'd phase you guys.
Trust me, I'd phase you too. Don't worry.
Yeah.
I hate being bored at parties.
Without prompting.
with no
Yeah,
prompts.
I'd be like,
no prompts.
I'd be like, we're friend enough that you'd be okay with me.
I would
phasing
let you
everybody
stun
the
me in a
room.
heartbeat if it was the right thing for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I was like, so then maybe there's these close, like they were in the academy together, they're
Yeah.
serving together. And I think Jennifer is just like the weird friend. And by the way, she's the only non-human in the group, no?
Yes. Yes.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, you're right.
I'm gonna get fact checked again.
No, you're right.
No,
No, I think you're
yeah.
right.
Yeah.
So I'm like, cool for you, good for you, Jennifer. Like
Yeah.
let's go. Like just like live your truth, face everybody. I mean, use your girlfriend to face everybody. And we know a little bit about like Orions with Orions and Dorians with Enterprise, and we know they're like, rough around the angle. So I like it. Rough around. No, that's not the expression. Whatever, you understand.
Rough around the edges.
Edges. That's a word.
Which are also
Um,
angles, so.
You want to say hi?
What?
Oh, just a guess.
Hello.
Hey.
Howdy.
What did you think of the DS9 episode of Lower Decks? Did you love it?
I enjoyed it. It was a while ago we watched it.
It was. She watches the screeners with us. She hasn't watched it
It's
since.
been a while. It was good though. I
It was.
liked it.
It was.
Yeah.
All right. Goodbye.
And one last thing, I want to know what's up with the candles on board starships. Like
They're
really,
holographic. They're holographic.
No,
They're
but they
not
were taking-
bugged
Bugged
me. I
me.
know, I know.
it bugged me on Voyager. It bugged me on TOS. It bugged me on like every single series. Can they stop having like open flames inside a starship?
I
It's
assume
very
they have
strange.
some sort of prevention.
Oh, you know if
What?
anything goes wrong, like any hint of carbon monoxide, sprinklers are going off in a heartbeat.
They open up a window, get the air out.
Eric.
Jennifer's totally that odd one in the group that she. And who doesn't? Like I remember meeting Megan's friends for the first time, and I was on the best behavior of my life ever. I haven't seen those people in ages, but it doesn't matter because I was nice that first time. But then they got to know me, and they got to know Mariner really well, really fast, which I loved. I loved Jennifer and Mariner's relationships, and the fact that it means so much to Mariner that she would act, proper
Yeah.
the first time.
Yeah.
Like first impressions matter. That's why you wear a suit when a baby's born, right?
What?
You've
What?
never seen that meme?
What?
It's a meme online. Anyway,
I was like, is that a real thing? I didn't
no,
know
it was a meme that went around a couple years ago. It was very popular.
Fucking kidding me?
No, I'm not. But yeah, I guess I wonder if Jennifer just wanted to show that she wasn't just this random, the third wheel that's always in this group. Like she has popular friends, or someone that's popular and weird and awesome.
Oh,
It's a good-
I like it.
I like the theory.
Yeah.
No.
I think Jennifer is the weird one in the group.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
With Mariner, she feels less alone. Maybe.
Not
Yeah,
anymore,
less weird.
right? Yeah.
And who doesn't want their own little weird with them, right?
Hawk.
Speaking
well,
of,
First up, I'd like to thank MC Frodis and Zangar for pointing out that, not only did she have this weird, uncomfortable salon and that to deal with and that, but she also had to deal with the fact that, like, two people were asking about, like, how sexy Boimler was. And it's like,
oh yeah, purple hair is hot.
I fucking love the sexy Boimler trope
Listen,
so much.
Bald Boimler is getting it.
Mhm.
It's the
Yeah.
purple
His
hair,
shirt,
ladies and
his shirt was
Oh, boy.
open when he was at the Dabo tables.
his hair
his
was
hair
all
was slick back?
Oh,
Yeah, I
like
loved
cool
it.
guy and that. And it's like, And like even at that moment when the EMP went off and that, and like the ship, all
He
the
still
station
wins.
he still wins in that. Davo!
Oh my god.
God, I'm
Hey,
kind of loving
fortune
Boimler
favors
this
the bold.
right?
It does.
Even if it carries a coin purse.
It's a clutch.
It's a clutch, man.
Clutch.
Come on.
Just really right. Yeah, it was sweet of Mariner and that, wanting to try and make a good impression, like with Jennifer's friends and that, even though that's not what Jennifer wanted at all. She just wanted Mariner to kick all their asses. The relationship is so important to her in that, and it's like, after last week and that, with her kind of having that little moment at the end and that where she's like, where you're thinking is her path like here in Starfleet and that, it's like I think Jennifer's going to be that anchor that kind of ends up keeping her with the Cerrito, right?
Or making her even like more insane. I don't know.
Yeah.
She's an enabler. Absolutely.
We'll see. I loved that this episode kind of solidified something for Mariner, because Mariner doesn't have a lot of like solid situations in her life. Like Starfleet is a very back and forth thing for her. Her relationship with her mother is a very back and forth thing with her. This is just something that she really wants to work, and Jennifer giving her that like I love you for you at the end there, I thought was really important and really beautiful, because anybody in a relationship will tell you when you finally get that bit of recognition from your significant other, especially early in a relationship, it gives you all the warm fuzzies, and that Mariner was feeling that, and even more she was feeling that at the end where Jennifer's like, yeah, they're all stunned. It's kind of a bad look if we're not. And they give each other a really warm kiss, right? And then stun each other. It's a really beautiful moment. I know it's a little bit comedic too, but it's a really important moment, I think, for their relationship, and I loved it.
How are they going to explain that everybody's phased?
I think that she writes the report, in all honesty, that they were conserving oxygen. I think Ransom's going to love it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's true.
Okay.
Ransom would love that.
I think Ransom would love that.
Instead of switching off the candles.
I think Ransom will also appreciate the fact that there were some psychotic women in the room. Am I wrong?
Slam poetry, and
poetry and drums and
the
improvised dance.
It was a dark and stormy 350.72. Sorry, whatever. That was so funny. We are going so over on time, but this has been so much fun. This is like so much fun.
Not that much. It's okay.
It's okay. No, I'm not complaining. This is one of my favorite episodes ever. Finally, Mariner and Jennifer are enjoying a drink at Quark's. Now, backstory real quick. We know that this scene was written in because Tawny was really mad that it was a DS9 episode and she didn't get to go on DS9. She was like, Mike, what the hell are you doing?
That's what she called the Trek biff during Comic-Con. She was like, we have Trek biff about something, and everybody was like, the fuck? Yeah, it's absolutely because of that.
So that's hilarious. Mike wrote this scene so she could have a moment in DS9. They're enjoying a drink at Quark's, and Quark is I feel like he's never happy to see anybody. Not really happy to see Mariner because she has a chip with a picture of what was it, Kira on whose body?
His head on Kira's body.
Quark's head on Kira's body.
Oh boy, which is funny because Kira is very happy to see Mariner, so we know there's some history there, which leads to my question: when are we finally getting the Mariner DS9 flashback episode? I want it. I need it.
So that's the question. Like when at the beginning she was like, I want to go. Like we know she lived on DS9, and I was like,
yeah,
hell. Then you know what? We go on DS9, and I was like, where the hell is everybody? Then I realized that everybody is gone. Mm-hmm. Think about it. They're all gone.
No Worf, no O'Brien, no Bashir, no Odo.
No Siskos,
no Sisko, no Nog.
They're all gone.
You have Quark, and you have Kira, and maybe Garrick?
And Morn.
And Morn. Of course, Morn. Yeah.
So, I was, when I rewatched it, I was like, yeah, that must be, kind of, bittersweet. Imagine, you grew up there. I mean, we don't know when she was there. We don't know how old she is. Like, there's many questions, right? But imagine that the Freemans were posted there for, when she was a kid, for example, and she grew up like 3 or 4 years there, or maybe less, and she got to know everybody, and she maybe grew up with Jack Sisko and Nog and so on. Like,
Yeah.
like, make up this
Now
story in your head.
we're gonna go back and watch DS9 and try and find her.
But, oh my God, don't.
So
'Cause
much.
I will do it.
And then like they hear, and she knows that everybody's dead, gone, disappeared somewhere else. Like, it's weird, right? And I know this feeling, like going back to a place and seeing everything change, everything empty, everything like close. I don't know. But then she does go back, and there's this line. Wait, I wrote it down. And I was like, whoa, I want to know more about this. Where they say, old war stories. And I'm like, when was she on DS9?
Dominion War, for
Dominion
sure.
War.
During the
MC, right?
Dominion
Sounds like she was
War.
on it during the Dominion War.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like, that could explain, too, a lot of, like, Mariner's trauma, a lot of, like, things that she's not trying to, like, avoid, her, like, not wanting to link with people, because that was brutal, and she most probably lost a lot of people, like maybe friends she grew up with. I mean, like, we know she did, right? But there's a lot again in like 20-minute episode, and I'm like, holy shit, the things. And that's funny because you see Kira like interacting with her, and I want to know how old is Mariner.
Yeah.
Because like did Kira like met her when she was a teenager?
I think so. She felt very motherly towards her, even that very little interaction.
Yeah. And like the thing with the chip, so like a thing like teenager would do, like so she must probably knew Nog.
Oh my God.
And, like,
I love MC's comment. Mariner was on DS9 during What We Left Behind, which is why she got so mad last week with the conspiracy theorists asking about Cisco.
Oh man.
Oh.
Yeah.
Which leads me to shamelessly plug again. Go read my article, guys. strangenewpod.com. It's all there. It's all there about Cisco.
Yeah.
He's coming back. Anyway, sorry.
I mean, people like we're seeing Mariner in what was this in the Genesis? There's a Genesis, not Genesis, like Generations. Or I don't remember. There was somebody like plugging, like there was a moment where like Jordy carries a little girl and it's like, it's
Teddy.
Mariner.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm sure we can like make up some stories somewhere, but that's really putting again, and it was like what Fred was saying, how like they put like Lower Decks inside Star Trek history. Like people were like, it's not real Star Trek. Like, come on, try me. How do you like unplug Lower Decks from Star Trek now that it's like so clearly linked to DS9 too?
And who else would teach Mariner how to smuggle things than Quark? Like, this is the perfect place for her to learn all her skills, where that makes her who we see her in the first season.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that even especially when we see Quark, he looks like a pissed off mentor, like who got ripped off by his favorite student. Right?
It's
and
so
again,
true.
like we see how she's good with different species and she knows how to adapt, and like that's screaming a kid that grew up on DS9.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Huck?
What more do I add? I think the original question was Mariner DS9 flashback episode when. No idea. I hope we get it at some point in that. Even just a little snippet in that, like maybe her having to evacuate DS9, when Starfleet was, had to leave. That'd be amazing.
Yeah, just give it to me. That's all I have to say. Just give it to me. I'm going to bring up 2 quick points, and we're going to get into Easter egg hunt. Why aren't we talking about Boimler, and why aren't we talking about Shaxx and Kira? Because, well, we talked about Shaxx and Kira with Fred, and he said all that needs to be said. That was wonderful. And Boimler, well, what else needs to be said about him? He's the fucking Dabo King.
Boimler.
Come on.
His line about not needing money
and taking the gift card was so good. And all the women, the Dabo girls thinking that they were going to get like wined and dined are so fucking pissed. The animation of their faces is brilliant.
His face when he's carrying all the loot at the end, it was so funny because he was
The
so
ears.
happy. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like at Disneyland, a person at Disneyland just grabbing all their crazy shit.
Listen, be more like Boimler. Like it's a
Bold
great way to
Boimler?
live your life. Like it goes like him and Rutherford are having the time of their life.
are.
Like Rutherford is just like they're in Disneyland. Like that's absolutely what they're doing. It's like Starfleet Disneyland. And I like the fact that they have like they grew up with all these like stories of first contact of like DS9. Like how the hell does Rutherford knows all this? About these things. It's like he watched the show, kinda. Like, and then I realized he didn't watch the show. That's not possible. But
Holo
it's
movies.
Holo movies, yep.
Yeah, so maybe there's holo movies about the war, like
100%.
recreation on
Yeah.
like DS9. Like
Yeah.
that's crazy. That's so fun to imagine.
You know there are holodeck programs because people just like
Oh,
we
yeah.
play like Call of
It's
Duty
like
now.
Riker and the Enterprise, right?
Yeah.
I feel like Hawk. I feel like this was like Boimler's like Sausage King of Chicago moment. It's like I'm the Dabo King of Deep Space.
It's true. It was so
Oh
good.
my
Like
God.
the whole Bold Boimler thing has been great this season. I'm wondering if they're at some point, like probably towards the end, they're just gonna pull the carpet out from underneath it though.
Oh, I mean,
Well,
yeah.
we
Wow.
saw him a bit like, like doubting himself, not knowing what to do, and he found his pace. He's like, and again, he's so happy. It's so good to see.
Yeah. Yep. It is.
Something is going to happen to him. You're gonna see, and it's not.
Old
gonna
Boimler?
I know Star Trek.
Well, have to wait and see. Let's get into. I didn't say. I just said you have to wait and see. That's nothing. There's 4 episodes left. They're leading to something, right? Let's get into our,
I'm just laughing at Draft.
I know nothing.
Okay,
Jon Snow.
liar.
Easter egg hunt. Before I go down the list that I always put, dude, this could take another hour. Who's got them?
This is the whole episode.
It's the whole
This is literally
episode.
The whole
a
episode.
There are
The
Easter eggs
whole
every
episode.
scene. Like Fred said.
I didn't have that many, so I'll just run through quick what I got. The alien race, the Karema, and that we saw them in the Deep Space Nine episode Starship Down. That was that was a great episode, and that one like Quark and basically had to these aliens found out Quark had been ripping them off with tariffs, and he had to rebuild his whole relationship with them, and that while disarming a warhead on an unexploded Jemadar torpedo. Quark on Kira's body holo program. MC caught this, or was it Zentar? I can't remember. Somebody in the chat caught this. But that was from the episode Meridian, season 3, episode 9, which was also the very first appearance of Jeffrey Combs in the series. The only other thing I pointed out was the Orion pirate code. Like, I didn't know if that was a thing or not from Orions or pirates, but it did remind me of this old episode of Mad Men called the Hobo Code, where they basically, a homeless man teaches a young Don Draper and that they leave behind messages for other
on the
people.
posts.
Oh yeah.
This message means a deceitful man lives here.
They do that on The Simpsons too.
It's a true thing, it's a real communication system.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
That was it for me.
Anybody else?
Well, drinking green is a
Drinking
reference
green.
to TOS.
Yeah.
I think the Orion script appears in Discovery. I wonder if it appears before Discovery, but I'm maybe it was actually invented for Discovery, so that's something that I need to check up. I'm not sure. And there's a lot of DS9 reference. Like the whole thing, dude. Like it's like literally the whole thing. Can I say that the lighting all the candle with an intention? I'm sure is a reference to Voyager and all the candles and intention and meditation going on in Voyager several times. Where Tuvok teaches meditation to a Harikim or something. I'm sure there's a thing here, but yeah, it's too much. I didn't even try.
No. Yeah.
Eric?
No, I didn't try. There were too many.
Too many. All right, I got some. Draft will appreciate this. Lower Decks Easter egging itself and referencing itself
Yeah.
once again. One of the crates of booze in the cargo hold of the Cerritos is Galadonian milk, which comes from the spider cows that famously suckled on Boimler. The DS9 theme, obviously written beautifully by Dennis McCarthy, is a fucking Easter egg all in its own. Kira and Shaxs, I'm sure there's like 1,000 Easter eggs in all the things that they argued about during the Resistance. They obviously mentioned the Badlands, which is very important to Deep Space Nine and Voyager. One word. Mourn.
Yeah.
Need I say more? This is going to be cheesy because I'm a fucking DS9 stan, but the DS9 boardroom. Like that room had so many important moments throughout that show's history that I do feel like having those meetings take place there, it had the look, it had the feel. It's like I was in so many iconic Deep Space Nine episodes being in that boardroom. Not really an Easter egg, just a cool location to see animated. Dabo. Rutherford wanting to dangle his legs like Jake and Nog. All the feels. Rutherford also wanted to talk to a junior reporter, aka maybe Jake Sisko, maybe Jake Sisko's apprentice. Great Easter egg there. Batleths are us. Yep.
Oh my god, I laughed so much.
Right.
I was like, no, that's incredible. Yes.
Right.
Oh, also the baseball stuff. All the baseball stuff.
Yeah.
All the baseball
Yeah.
stuff. Yep. There was, I think, pointed out in the chat, the DS9 model that Tendi and Rutherford start is also in the Quarks gift shop.
Oh.
So, Quarks has it's Quarks. So, Armin Shimmerman is the fucking Easter egg. That man is brilliant. Let's rate this one, guys. Out of 10 spins of the Dabo wheel, Giraffe.
It's a 10 again. It was an excellent episode on so many levels. So many levels. Animation, the characters, the writing, the story, the plot, the references. It's two in a row. 2 perfect episodes in a row.
Agreed.
Let's see.
10 out of 10. This episode had everything. All the storylines felt like they were important. They didn't feel any like wasted. And oh man, just you get a 10 just for the theme song, man. 10.
Yeah, right.
Twice you get 20. There you go.
Well, I hate to disagree with everybody, but I'm not going to. So it's a 10. It was fantastic. I am like, honestly, I didn't expect Quark coming back in this one.
No.
It was, and I love Quark in that. He is like, part of like, as much as like the Starfleet crew on DS9 was, important in that. Quark was so important to that show.
Before I give my rating, speaking of Quark, I am going to give a quick shout out to one of our amazing collective members, Jesco, who is currently dealing with all the awfulness of Hurricane Ian, and I know is pretty bummed to be missing out on this episode because she is a Ferengi stan and fucking loves Quark. So I sent her a couple of gifts because she wanted them in screenshots. We're all thinking of you. We love you. If you need anything, the collective is here for you, obviously. With that being said, if I could give this more than a 10, I would, but the 10 is our limit. So I will give it a 10 out of 10. And I know this is going to get brought up in the mailbag in a little bit, but I'm going to say it too. This could have very quickly just evolved into a like fan service, like porno is the best way I could describe it. And it wasn't.
It's called fan fiction, okay?
Yes. Fair. It was an episode of Lower Decks that took place on Deep Space Nine with characters from that show that we love. It worked perfectly, and that is really difficult to achieve. 10 out of 10. My hat is off. Let's read them on the Twitch. MC gives it a 10 out of 10 circles around the station. Thank you, Jack Ransom. I also love his line. Can't you just replicate drinks? Joe gives it a 10 out of 10. Dabo King Boimler. Zendara gives it a 10 out of 10 because I will definitely rewatch this one often. Yeah, I've watched it like 6 times already. Thomas Hill, yes, another 10 out of 10. 2 in a row. Can there be another 4 to come? I mean, Maybe
Another what?
like
Four more
10 out of
10s.
10. 4 more 10s. It's possible.
We
Yeah.
hope.
Yep.
Fingers crossed.
So Thomas is going to bed and watching it before he goes to rewatching it.
It should be on
So good night,
CTV
Thomas.
Sci-Fi.
Yeah, it should be on CTV at this point. Let's go to the subspace to pull and mailbag.
Hailing frequencies are open.
My girl.
Who wants it tonight? Who wants the
I can do it. I will do
Eric.
it.
Hit
Yeah.
We asked Trek Twitter what they thought of this one, and this is what they had to say. 71% said, Dabo!
Oh.
10% said, Go Niners! Go Niners. 16% said, I'd like to speak to Odo. That's not going to
I'd
happen.
like to speak to your manager.
And then 3% said, In mourning.
More 3%. I want to talk to these people.
That number was higher earlier in the day. I was actually a little disappointed.
Well, there.
Last week we had
did
like
I say Twitch? I got corrected for saying YouTube? Did I say Twitch at some point? I may have said
No.
Twitch.
There were people. So I posted that picture of that I drew of Cisco today, right? But there was a small percentage that were really angry that I drew Cisco in the lower decks style.
Did they think it was a spoiler?
No. They didn't want Cisco to be on lower decks. Like they were like, don't touch this show. Don't touch DS9. That show.
Collectively
You
speaking,
know-
for some, like,
I
don't, yeah.
Yeah, you guys can
I know
have
running-
lower decks, but don't touch
I know
DS9.
we're
It's like,
running
Don't take
super
it
late,
from us.
but like
block.
it's interesting how like humanity always like keep like rewriting their story. Like look at the Iliad or the Odyssey. They're like pieces that been adding over like centuries by people adding like pieces of story to it. Like if you don't keep a story alive, it's gonna die. If
Yeah.
you like DS9, you should be super. I mean, I don't tell you what to do. You do whatever you want, but that's how story work. Like the fact that they are still telling story about this show 30 years ago shows the impact and how people want it to still be alive. If it's not touched, then it's just gonna disappear. You
Mhm.
know, like people are gonna watch DS9 now because they watch Lower Decks. That's how it goes.
Damn straight.
Anyway,
Yeah.
Let's get to the mailbag. We'll keep going since Eric did the poll. We'll keep going in that order. Hawk, why don't you take us with Havens, please?
Sure. Haven wrote, every single scene was on fire. I was glad I was able to watch the episode and was able to spend some time with our collective here on Discord. This episode truly represents the absolute best of Lower Decks. I feel like this episode could also be known as a true send-off for Deep Space Nine. It would have been a great tribute if they had mentioned Odo or Nog or Kai Wynn. I know it has been super hard. I know it would have been super hard to tribute the Kai so quickly. I rank this episode a 9 out of 10.
All right. I will take MCs. This episode could have easily slipped into Remember Berries, which I was saying. It could have been
Remember?
like very quick, like just too much.
I
fanfare.
remember.
But instead they ended up with one of the best crossovers of the franchise. This was an organic story that used the guest stars well, gave us insight into Mariner and Tendi, while still finding time to have great moments for Bold, Boimler, Rutherford, Shaxs, Freeman, and Jennifer. Absolutely 10 out of 10. Draft, back to you.
That makes me feel good about the crossover with Strange New World.
Yeah,
because
100%.
of
Mhm.
the TOS1.
Yeah.
I hope they do this. Anyway, Chris wrote, "No, are you serious, Chris? Like you want me to sing? What
You
the
better
hell?
fucking
Oh
do
my
it. You
God.
better fucking do it.
Okay. Na 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 Kira and Cork. I suck. Somebody wants
That
to
was
do it
fucking
better?
No,
great.
keep going.
No,
Yeah, do
that
it,
was
man. It was
amazing.
awesome.
It was the same theme song in France, so you're very lucky. That was the case. Such a great stroll down the promenade, memory lane. Yay, Jennifer not being toxic. Hooray, Tendi feeling she can stop masking her Orion self. 10 out of 10. Kai wins in her honor.
Oh. SMK wrote, wonderful to be on DS9 again. I think my favorite Easter egg, homage, was constantly playing with the focus of the frame when on board the station. Oh, yeah.
I'm
That
so
is
happy
so
someone
true.
else noticed that because it's so fucking evident. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Brilliant. Hawk, take us home with Takakos, please.
Takako wrote, that was a fun episode. I laughed when the Cerritos had to go back around DS9 again. Incorporating the LDS cast with DS9 felt seamless, and I loved the conversations between Kira and Shaxs. Of course, they had to know each other. And I enjoyed the small character arc for the Orion from Cincinnati about his experience as an adoptee and not feeling like he belonged. It feels like the writers knew just how much to push the envelope toward LDS silliness, but stay true to DS9's story and environment. And the ending with the Mariner Jennifer plot was sweet. The episode was thoroughly enjoyable. I think the only plot point that I wish they had tied up more nicely was Boimler's Dabo exploits, but I think that
all I gotta say is Boimler was the Dabo king, man.
he was a Dabo king in
The
that.
Dabo
He doesn't
king.
care about money.
That
What?
Ferengis
We don't even
really
use it in the
fucking lucky
Federation.
that he didn't take the money, because Quark would have been dead ass broke by the
Listen,
end of that
the
episode.
Ferengi losing it like slowly each time he's in the frame.
So funny.
So good. This has been an incredible fucking night of podcasting, ladies and gentlemen.
Yay.
I have enjoyed doing this episode with you guys so much.
For my birthday.
For your birthday. It doesn't get
birthday,
much better than
Giraffe.
this. A quick thank you once again to Fred Tatasciore for joining us and talking Shaxs and a bunch of other amazing voice acting roles. This has been incredible. We have some business we have to talk about next week that we didn't get to talk about this week. It's going to be fun. We hope you enjoyed our first week on YouTube. This is going to be how we're going moving forward. So make sure you bookmark us there. Hit like, hit subscribe, hit that bell to get notified every time we get we go live. All that jazz. That's going to do it. For Hawk, for Giraffe, for Eric, I'm Julian. Just keep circling. Majram. Good night.
And Dabo!
Double!
Thanks for beaming into our podcast today. If you want to keep the hailing frequencies open, you can subscribe on Apple and Google Podcasts, YouTube, and Spotify. Like what you hear? Put in a good word with Starfleet and leave us a 5-star review.